name on that. Pike Central.
Jasper area, is that Pike Central?
Yeah.
And then next Thursday we had Edinburgh. And that, what is that? So.
Yeah, that'll be perfect, because that's the kind of thing. Right. So I'll tell you that I fixed the clock last time I was in here. It's apparently,
I've done it twice. It's.
I guess we just need
a
a,
battery. I know.
we just need a battery. It was clicking along and I thought, well, I'm gonna try it on, I fixed it on Monday and I thought, I'll see what it's like by Thursday. Clearly, not, so, I won't use that clock, I'll use this clock. And, we're all ready to go? I'm gonna call the meeting to order. We will start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll call the meeting to order here at 6:30. And we have, as you'll note, that Assembly Tracy is not here tonight. She is in San Antonio. Is that right, San Antonio? At the superintendent's national conference with our Eagle Manufacturing folks. So we're excited that they're there and hope to get a good report from them when they return. So tonight we do have 2 modifications for the agenda. I will just read both of those and we can vote on whether to add those. The first is a recommendation to approve a donation of $200 from Psi Iota Xi Eta Alpha Chapter to the Brown County Middle School Choir to be used as needed, and a recommendation to approve the donation of $600 from Psi Iota Xi Eta Alpha Chapter to the Interact Club to be used as needed. Is there a motion to approve those modifications?
I'll second.
And let's do a roll call.
Amy,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yes.
And John.
All right, that motion is approved. We have a time here in number 3 for recognition of visitors and comments from the audience. Is there anyone here who would like to do that? Don't see anyone except staff and our presenters and our Democrat representative in the back, so thank you. All right, so next is a presentation tonight. We have here, Shelby is going to speak, and I missed your last name now.
It's Vinegar.
Winiger,
Yes.
from Proactive MD. They are our, run our Brown County Community Health and Wellness Center, and they're going to give us an update on that. Yes.
Shelby, you want me to?
And thank you again for allowing us to present. Emily was just so gracious enough to allow PMD to come. And if you remember Chamber Coffee, I'm the broker for Brown County Schools. And again, we greatly appreciated the last board meeting that you allowed us to bring in 2 solutions that we have on the table to think about and possibly be voted on. This meeting is just giving the board an update, like Amy said, about the clinic, and also just kind of a refresher, just all the services that are available at the clinic. We just thought it would be a great opportunity to let Shelby and Wes shine on this, so again, thank you.
Well, we're eager to have you. I feel like there's a lot I don't know, so I'm eager to hear what you have to say.
Fantastic.
Like,
Yeah,
what services are-
please ask questions too.
Thanks.
Hey, so just a reminder, my name is Shelby Vinegar. I'm the client relations manager for Proactive ND. So I work hand in hand with Chandra and Emily to make sure that the health center is running to your guys' expectation. So I wanted to do just a quick brief overview of what we actually offer. I feel like a lot of times we assume that that's like everybody knows what we offer, right? But then we find out over conversation that not everybody knows what we offer. So starting out with that first. Go ahead, flip slides. I have sprinkled a few little patient testimonials in there that have came from Brown County School employees within the health center. So I felt like they were appropriate to share because we do have a great staff at that health center. So this is a terrific office with caring staff. They pay attention to details and listen to explain things very well. I'm grateful having them so close. Again, overview. So some of this might be a little bit repetitive, especially if you guys use the health center, but We have a staff made up of 3 wonderful ladies. So we have a full-time NP, Rebecca, we have a CNA and a full-time RN as well. We're open Monday through Friday. We do have some earlier morning times to accommodate those coming in before school. And then we also do have some later times available too, to facilitate those patients that need to be seen after school as well. And then the location, we're literally 5 minutes, if that, down the road. Just to cover some of the services that we offer. So I think the first thing that comes to mind when you guys think of a clinic or health center are those acute care needs. So things like your ear infections, your sore throat, your stuffy nose. Of course, we love to see those, but we are more than just that. So preventative care is probably one of our favorites to see, and I know Rebecca loves it because she's very health focused. So just knowing that we can treat for those physicals, those yearly annual exams, making sure that we're catching things early. So we don't want things to turn into chronic conditions if we can manage them early and be proactive with that. Chronic condition care is also huge, and that's a large thing that people don't realize that we offer as well, is our providers are trained to practice at the top of their scope, which means managing chronic conditions such as diabetes, hyperlipidemia, hypertension, asthma. So please utilize us for that service too. One thing with those is the more that we can keep in the health center, the lower the cost going out into other facilities, right? So you're already paying for this either way. Let's make sure that we're utilizing it to its full potential. Let's say, there are people that do still need to see a specialist. Let's say you're diabetic and your A1C is extremely high and you have worked very hard, your nutrition's on point, but you're still struggling and you still need to see that endocrinologist. That is perfectly fine, but still keep us in mind, we can be there for those lab services as well. So if you're getting an A1C drawn every quarter, every 6 months, please come back to us for that instead of going elsewhere. Next thing I wanted to hit on is our trademark Care Beyond the Walls. So not only are we a primary care facility, we also are there to help support outside the walls as well. So we are going to have referrals to other places, right? It's inevitable. But we want to make sure that you have somebody there to navigate and support you through that process. So starting from that referral, following it through, making sure that you're getting the best quality care at the most affordable price, and making sure you're coming back home to us as well. So really being that handhold support. We know the healthcare system can be extremely scary and it's hard to understand as a typical human being. So just having somebody on your side to walk through is amazing. That's something that we really do strive to do. Another thing that I have found out recently is a lot of people don't know that we do carry meds in-house and then also offer lab services as well. So we have over 80 medications actually in-house that you can walk out with today. And then labs, there's a large list of labs as well that we can provide for you too. So do keep that in mind that one of my favorite things is, let's say I am sick and I need an antibiotic, I don't have to go to the pharmacy when I'm not feeling well. Or if I have screaming kids in the back of my car because they're sick, we only have to make one stop. We're not having to go to 3 different places to get the care. So it's a wonderful benefit to have. Okay, digging a little bit deeper into our model. So I said we were a primary care facility. We are a health center. We offer a lot of services, but we operate a little bit different than your typical primary care. So usually, you guys are all familiar. You walk in, you wait for 40 minutes, you get 5 to 7 minutes with your provider. They rush in, they rush out, they treat you for one thing, they tell you to come back for the other thing that's been bothering you, and then you're on your way. Our model is very different than that. It starts from the scheduling. So you call us, you tell us what kind of issues you're having. We make sure you have plenty of time to see the provider. We're not set on set schedules throughout the day. So if you need 45 minutes to talk to the provider because you've got 5 different things going on, we're going to find a slot for you that's going to allow that 45 minutes, and she's going to take that time with you. We typically have 1, maybe 2 patients in the facility at the same time. So you really do get that one-on-one interaction compared to an office that has 7 rooms that has somebody waiting in every single room. So that's one of the huge differentiators between us and your standard PCP. Less than 5-minute wait time. So again, because of the way that we offer our scheduling, we strive to have low wait times. We're also working for employers. We know you guys need to get back to work, and that's what the employers want as well. Also back to family and things like that too, but we do try to keep that in mind and make sure that our scheduling does allow that as well. guidance through the healthcare system. So I hit a little bit on that, talking about the care beyond the walls, but just to reiterate, making sure that you do have that handheld support that you need whenever you are, faced with any type of issue that you might have to be referred out for. And then just overall, our goal is to keep our patients healthy and happy, but we also want to make sure that costs are staying down for the patients and the employer as well.
Hey, Shelby, just to reiterate, if referral needs to be given to someone, you're looking at their network to make sure that
Correct.
you're giving them an in-network provider.
Most certainly. Okay, another thing too that I wanted to quickly hit on is our after hours line. Again, this is something that I found out recently. A lot of my health centers, not just Brown County specific, but this is something that's often forgotten, and it's a great service that's offered at no charge, which is huge too. So we have an after hours service that's available 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Those calls first get dispatched out to Rebecca, the provider. If she is able to answer that, she will. If not, it gets sent out to one of our other proactive and deep providers. And that is not for somebody who thinks you're having a heart attack, of course. But let's say you were in earlier today and you had a medication prescribed to you. You thought you understood how to take it. You get home and you're like, shoot, am I supposed to take a glass of water with us or not? So you can call us and we can look up in your chart and say, yep, this is what she wants you to do. All good there. Or let's say you aren't feeling well. Do I need to go to the urgent care tonight? Or is it something we can wait for tomorrow? So it's really more of a triage system, just like any other telemedicine. But it is no charge to you guys, which is huge. Proactive MD Health has always been upfront and honest with me. The provider's patient, kind, and understanding, never rushes me to get out the door, and I truly feel listened to. Another great testimony. Up next, so I wanted to hit on how you guys not only support your Brown County School employees here, but also the community as a whole. So we have over 700 lives that we see at the health center. So part of that is the Brown County Schools, but then we also have the government and other small entities as well that feed into it. So not only are you guys supporting your school system, but also just the community as a whole. And I know everybody's very thankful for that. So great job being a true partner with us on that. Another little bit that I wanted to hit on here, you guys have been partners with us, I think, since 2018. So we've been with you guys for a while, and the health center just continues to grow and utilization just continues to improve. So that makes us super happy. And I think Chandra had mentioned that one of the main goals for the health center initially was to provide lab services within the area and to have somebody really in the area where we weren't having to drive 20 to 30 minutes to be seen. So we are thankful that we're able to provide that for you guys. And up next, looking at some numbers. So I wanted to just highlight very, very brief overview of our 2022 annual review. We had 56% overall engagement within your population, which is wonderful. Typical numbers that you'll see from some of our other vendors in the same industry is anywhere from a 30 to 40%. So we are above that, which is wonderful. Proactive strives to even be a little bit extra when it comes to it. So our goal is to get you guys at 60%. Yeah. Oh, good question. Sorry. I present reports so much I forget sometimes. I don't know. So we categorize engagement as a patient that has seen the provider. So they've had a visit with the provider within the last 12 months. So not somebody coming in for a flu shot or just labs. They actually have to see the provider to be counted as engaged. Thank you for asking that. That's a great question. And then moving on to chronic condition engagement. So we were at 74% overall, and we look at 3 different categories on that. We look at diabetes, hyperlipidemia, and hypertension. So diabetes, cholesterol, high blood pressure. Again, we want to keep as many people in the health center as we can when we're talking about chronic conditions, because that's where most of your bang for your buck is going to happen. Next up is referral rate. So looking at those referrals out that I mentioned already. Typical PCPs, you're going to see anywhere from a 15 to 20% referral rate because we have a little bit more flexibility in the scope of care that we can provide. It's good that ours is low. So we were at a 2.92%, which is excellent. Again, means we're keeping a lot of stuff in the health center.
So referral rate means to specialists?
Yes. Yep. Correct. Next point that I did want to make, so we actually get your guys' claims information, which we can utilize in a couple different ways. But one of the things that we like to see is that the high cost claimants are engaged with us. That doesn't mean that they're seeing us for whatever's going on, whatever their diagnosis may be, but they're seeing us for other things. So they have a PCP home. They're probably getting their labs drawn. They're probably getting their maintenance medications through us. So we want to see as many of those high cost claimants as we can. And we actually have 4 of the 6 that we have reported, which is wonderful too. And we describe a high cost claimant as by over $50,000. So switching gears just a little bit. Has anybody ever heard of an NPS score? Maybe not. Okay. So it's a score that's utilized across several different industries. It's basically how likely are you to refer us to a friend or colleague. And we are really hitting it hard with patient satisfaction and overall customer service this year. So this is something that we're going to continue to strive to improve. We were at an 89 last year, and this is, let me backtrack a little bit. This is coming from the surveys that people are getting within the health center after their visits. So we were at an 89. Usually anything a 40 or above is acceptable. So the team is doing a wonderful job providing good care that people would refer us to others, which is always a good thing because we know word of mouth is probably the best way to get people to come see us. Switching gears back to some more chronic condition details. We had 11 members reduce their A1C last year. 18 members reduced their cholesterol and 82 members reduced their blood pressure. So those are very good numbers. And then ROI is one other thing that I did want to hit on a little bit. So we were at a 0.95, so not quite at that break-even point, but we had a drastic improvement from last year. We were at, we were at 0.76 last year. So with the increase in engagement and just improvements in services that we're offering, we are getting very, very close to that break-even point. It typically does take a few years. Okay, return on investment. So basically, are we saving you guys money or not? Is kind of the easiest way to look at that. And one thing that does, what I do want to explain on that a little bit as well is we're pretty conservative with our reporting. So we are taking overall services that were provided, we times that by 1.55 of the Medicare cost, so a conservative number. We take your chronic condition savings. We only dip into one bucket. So if somebody has multiple chronic conditions, we're only going to report out on one. We add all of those in together and then subtract your guys' cost for the year is how we calculate that. So again, ultimately, we'd like to be at that break-even point, and I can see it happening hopefully within this year. We're getting very, very close. But one thing we don't calculate is cost of burden. So who wouldn't be seeing, you know, any type of healthcare provider if all of it work for us is one huge thing that we can't necessarily put a number on. How many conditions have we kept from turning into catastrophic conditions because we've been able to manage them and catch them early? So again, we'd like to be making you guys hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but it does take time. We have to have that engagement and patients to buy into our services before we can really get there.
Are there some efforts that you're doing to try to get more engagement?
In general, just marketing. So we've been working with Emily on some marketing materials. We also now have some contacts within the schools that are getting those marketing pieces as well. We send things out monthly, quarterly, as needed. You know, for example, the after hours care. If that's something that isn't very well known, we'll make sure that we do have something that can promote that. Another thing too that we would love to do is if you guys have any teacher orientation days or, you know, any opportunities for us to just simply set up a table and talk to people, we have found that that works wonderful as well. A lot of times people don't realize how great of a service is until they have just a 5-minute conversation with what's available to them.
And sorry for asking, I just don't know. Does the board have access to the fund? Yes. Okay, great.
Can I ask how many have used it?
I did.
Okay. I have one here. Okay. Any other questions on that slide before I move along? I know that was a lot of information, but I'm happy to talk more on it if needed. Questions you all have? No? Okay.
I have a couple.
Yeah,
I just
okay,
wanted to
go ahead.
Give everyone a chance. You talked earlier, I just wanted to make sure I understood the numbers about the number of employees. So you said we have 340 employees. And then what about their family members? Are they then, and then you said you have 700 total patients.
I may have misspoke on that. Did I put employees? 340 lives. If I said employees, I
Well, tell me
misspoke.
what that means.
So that is anybody on your medical plan that's eligible to use the health center.
So that's employees plus their families.
Spouses, dependents, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
That was my question.
Yep.
And so then the difference then between the 340 and the 700 lives is, I know we have Brown County government who also contracts. Are there other businesses?
We have some smaller businesses that feed in as well as independents too, that are able to buy in.
So like very small businesses?
Most of them are smaller, yes.
And then I also remember when you started that there was like an individual, a person could buy like a subscription monthly. Do you have a lot of people engaged with that? Or is it mostly from a business that's offering it as their healthcare alternative?
Most of them are from a business, but we do still have some that are willing to buy in. So it's nice for those that may be self-employed, for example, that might have maybe some type of health insurance plan, but we know it's probably not the greatest. So to be able to have that, typical regular care, it's worth it.
And then I was thinking about the larger healthcare systems that surround us, IU Health, Columbus Regional, Johnson Memorial. How then, if I have insurance here, and again, I'm not on the plan, so I'm really asking this as someone who knows it but doesn't participate in it. How do you then make referrals and interact with those? Because again, I know how do you like define a network? I guess.
So
Does that make sense?
it does, and I think I can answer that, but it may be more of a care team question on like the logistics on how they do it. But essentially, we do still take your insurance cards, so we know what's in network and what's not. We are able to see all of that information. So the referrals go out just like any other PCP would. We're gonna make sure that you're in network, or if you have a choice, that you wanna be seen, it gets sent out that way. Our EMR works just as anybody else's does. Does that answer that?
Can I piggyback on that?
Yeah.
I'm Wes. I'm Shelby's teammate, by the way, if you wanted this. So from a referral pattern, Shelby's absolutely right. Focus is to refer to in-network providers. We also have a system we partnered with Light last year, but we used multiple resources prior to it. It's called Garner Health. Not that that's going to resonate with any of you, but it's data, cost and quality data on steroids. So the idea is, although we are primarily referring in network, we want to ensure that we are referring to the highest quality provider within that network, who also happens to be the lowest cost provider too. So that's on the technical side. Then on the human element side of it is, we, believe it or not, we also look at websites such as Yelp and Google for provider reviews to understand bedside manner to the extent that it's available. So trying to cross the whole gamut there of quality, cost, and then just the human interaction behavior.
Does that answer that? Yeah. Do you have a question?
So families and students have access to this, or how do they go about that?
As far as access through this school corporation, is that what you're asking?
Is there any?
They would have to be on the school corporation's benefits plan.
So just not anybody can go in there,
They can go in, but they'd have to pay monthly.
which is
Yes.
how much?
Do they get like family rates?
Yeah, there's some variables. So there are some grandfather rates. As it is now, it's either $70 or $75 a month for individuals to, be seen, and then it scales for dependents.
And their lab and med list is a little bit more limited than what you guys have. But it's still for those individuals coming in, but it still covers, I don't know, what do you say, 70 to 80% of what you would typically need.
So you go in with a student, a kid, pay $75 a month, you pay that for the 12 months, just for that month of use, or that's it?
It's billed on a monthly basis.
I mean, I understood it's like a subscription.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
That's how
It's
I
like a-
think of
it's
it,
like a
like
gym
I'm buying a
membership.
subscription, right, to Spotify or.
Yeah,
something.
you're exactly right, that's the best way to describe it.
So you're paying a monthly fee, just like you would, but you have chosen this as your provider and you may have some out-of-pocket costs, but
Yes,
a lot of yours.
majority of your care would be covered, correct.
And particularly don't have employer-based insurance.
Yeah.
Something that's available in our county, which I think is an exciting part of it, and I'm glad to hear that you're still offering that for individuals.
Yes, most certainly, yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So, we did send out, or I shouldn't say we, Emily sent out a survey, I don't know, maybe 3-ish weeks ago, somewhere around there towards the beginning of the year. And we actually got pretty good feedback. Normally, I don't always get the best feedback because you guys get emails all day long and they often get overlooked. So I was pretty happy with what came back. We had 71 participants, which was excellent. 6 had not utilized the health center. Most of their responses on that were either A, they didn't know how, which is an easy fix, right? Like that's just a matter of marketing and communication. And a lot of the marketing that we do, and you guys, I'm sure would understand, it's a lot of repetition, right? Like they have to see the same thing over and over again before it clicks. So a couple of them were newer. So they maybe just haven't had a chance to make that appointment yet or feel the need to. And then we had the few, well, I'm never sick. So we always get those responses. But overall, I felt like the survey gave us great, wonderful feedback, which I wasn't expecting any different, but you never know, right? 95.7 of those people would return for another visit, which also says a lot about the care team and the care that they're providing. Overall, happy with our services and care. Patients would like to see online scheduling options, which I'm really excited to say is coming. So we do have a portal now. I'll admit it's a little clunky. You can message your provider back and forth. We can do everything we need to do on it, but it doesn't have that easy access button for scheduling. So we are in the works right now, rolling out basically an app for your phone, or you can use online as well. That's an entirely new portal system that's going to allow you to schedule online too. So we're super excited about that. Our goal, I think, is to have it ready to go by summer, possibly sooner. So that was an easy check off for me. I'm like, okay, that was, one of the requests and we're already fulfilling that. So great. Requests for more variety of medications. I wanted to talk on this a little bit. So we have a lot of meds in-house, right? But we're not going to be able to please everybody. But I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on that. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to put them in the health center. So our goal is to keep costs low. We're always open to having suggestions. We're willing to check into it, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense from a cost perspective. There may be a few people that need a medication and they really, really want it in the health center, but if it's going to sit on the shelf and expire, that's not a goal, right? So one thing that we do internally is we will work with Chandra and her team to figure out if it is going to be appropriate and cost effective. So just wanted to point that out. We're always open to suggestions, but we do evaluate it before we add it in. And then the formularies do get looked at on a regular basis as well by the provider here. So she works with her collaborators, but she knows her population best. So she's going to know what needs to be in the health center. One question I almost left off the survey, which I'm glad I didn't because I felt like it was a good point to reference, but people were interested in wellness benefits. So I don't know if that's something that's ever been explored in the past, that anything from a health risk assessment within the health center or implementing some wellness challenges, we can get creative, but I felt like that was a good thing that, to see that was truly interest. And a lot of people know that money is usually tied to those, so that might be why too.
What's a health HRA?
Health risk assessment. So basically, it's similar to a physical. Most of the time, you're going to have a lab draw, get those basic labs done, checking your cholesterol, your blood sugar, and then checking your blood pressure, your weight, and kind of evaluating that with the provider with a follow-up visit is the typical process of how we do that. But basically, just more so making sure you're getting that yearly checkup done. Many participants were unaware of the on-site medications. I want to say there was about 15 people that said that they did not know that we had it out of the 71. So again, it's something that we just need to make sure that we're marketing and pushing and reiterating over and over again that they are available to them. They are generic medications too. So sometimes people may think, oh, they're not gonna have what I need, but it might just be under a different name. It might be the same exact thing that they're taking right now. And then appointment availability is most important, which we do strive to have same day or next day appointments. We try very, very hard for that. Sometimes with cold and flu and sick season, it may get, a little bit further out if you're coming in for your yearly physical, but for the most part, same day or next day is our goal that we strive for. And then this was just a little snapshot of some of the responses that we received and felt like were appropriate to go ahead and throw in there. Overall, like I said, good responses as a whole. I was very happy with that. And do I have anything else? Nope, I think that's all I have. Yes. Rebecca's very thorough and knowledgeable. She's also very kind. I know she will do what's best for me, and I really trust her. If you guys don't know, Rebecca's the provider there, and she is a non-county agent. Yeah. Any other questions, comments?
I guess it's a question for Chandra. Last meeting before, we talked about prescription program that we were discussing. How, I know we were talking about medications there, but then you're talking about the name brand medications from this other place. How would the two systems interact?
They really would be independent of each other because, like Shelby was saying, a lot of the medications might be more generic. Again, we're going to be focusing, that program will be focusing on really expensive medications, which really is probably only about maybe 2 to 3% of your population. But we would make sure we were working together to make sure they did not, that there's no overlapping of that type of implementation of that program.
So maybe that solves some of the problems, since those are name brand meds, what you have are generics, and then they say you don't have the meds they need. It might be.
Absolutely.
And one thing too to keep in mind when we're talking about any of those pharmacy programs, Chandra keeps us in the loop too. So the provider will be knowledgeable of what's available to be able to direct the patients, which is huge because a lot of times people or companies will implement these plans that are wonderful, but if they don't have anybody there to help support, it doesn't get utilized. So making sure that we have everything is part of the process too.
We have such a great working relationship with Proactive MD. We have other clinic vendors too, but Proactive is just probably one of our favorites. They're just so easy to work with and are so willing to help us with other programs that we might be coming to our clients with. I'll just take it one step further. The Hendricks Regional program that's focusing on orthopedic surgery. That's something, again, that we're working very closely with Proactive because, an employee that may be their first stop to go talk to someone at the clinic about, hey man, I'm having this knee problem, or, what would you recommend? She may recommend doing some exercises, but it may come to a point where we want to make sure that our clinic provider is aware of these programs so that they can recommend those type of programs to our employees.
Another question that was about the folks you described as high cost claims. Is that, I'm guessing that's people who have cancer or heart surgery, something pretty substantial. And you said 4 of the 6 were engaging. Can you tell me more, where are the other 2?
So good question. We would love to see them, right? That would be the ultimate goal. I will say 4 out of 6 is a lot better than what most of my other health centers have. Simply because a lot of times when people have those diagnoses, they forget about their primary care, even though we're kind of that anchor, right? So to know that 4 of your 6 are still anchored with us and still utilizing us in some way, shape, or form is honestly the goal. So that kind of
well, so you're talking about whether or not they're engaging with the primary care while they're going elsewhere and getting specialists.
Yeah, so they may have an unfortunate cancer diagnosis, for example, but they're still seeing us too. So again, we have that support to be able to take any of, if they have questions about which specialist should I be seeing, this one's telling me to take this one's telling me to take this, just some guidance to understand, have somebody there to help them understand what's going on.
Specialists don't take care of big problems.
Exactly.
that's why they have to be seen in PCP.
Yeah.
Because they will not do it.
Right, and we know most of the time, not all the time, but when we have a lot of high cost claimants, they usually have other comorbidities, right? So they've got other things going on, whether it's high blood pressure. Their cancer specialist is not gonna be treating their high blood pressure, so they need somebody there to support them with that.
And then emergency room care, I guess you haven't mentioned that. Are they available to go to any of the surrounding emergency rooms or urgent cares in weekends?
Yeah, we really want to educate again our members to know when it's appropriate to use what facility. Of course, if you're having chest pain, that's probably something you should go to an emergency room. We want to try to be conscious of what healthcare dollars that we're spending. That's why having a clinic is so important, because it does keep costs down for the employer and the employees too. Because when you watch the clinic, it's definitely out of your pocket. But again, if urgent care, I would say look to the clinic to see if they can solve whatever issue or problem that you're having. Emergency room, use it if you've broken a bone or you're having some chest pains. We have a great flyer that I can get out to everyone too, that kind of gives you, it's kind of like a roadmap, like if this is going on, I need to go here. So it's again, I think the more that we can educate our members and let them know when it's appropriate to go, where they need to go, we'll definitely do all we can to keep educating. I'll get that to you, John. Make sure you get that.
And then when you talk about marketing, like, I know that our retirement folks will quarterly have office hours in each of the buildings so that they can like talk to people and, talk about the financial questions. Do you ever do that where you somebody like you who's not necessarily primary care, but someone who can answer questions?
Yeah.
Like go to the building, hey, somebody from Proactive is going to be here from 9 to 12 if you have questions.
Most
Have you
certainly.
done that?
We have not for you guys, but it's something we can definitely do.
Yeah, because I think that way, people always have healthcare insurance questions or
Right.
that type of thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah, my only experience is just make sure we're visible, right? That would be the only thing is don't put us in a closet. We want to be able to actually talk to people. But yes, no, I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, as an employee, I've only got 5 minutes, so I want
Right.
to come chat with you for a minute.
Right, right. And, you get overwhelmed with your first day, you're getting all of this huge benefit details thrown at you. So ours is often the one that's like, oh, I'll revisit that. So it is nice to have some refreshers or those people that don't feel comfortable asking their coworker or their boss about healthcare. There is that fine line there too. So to have an extra resource is always nice. Anything else? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again for the opportunity. That's so good.
All right. Next on the agenda is discussion, and there's nothing listed. Next is approval of public session minutes from February 2nd, 2023. I have a motion to approve those minutes. So moved. Your second. Roll call. Amy. Carol. I'm sorry. I should say yes. Vicky.
Yes.
Stephanie. Yes. And Doug.
Yes.
All right. Action needed items. Recommendation to approve the donation of $3,000 from an anonymous donor to the BCHS baseball program to be used as needed. Is there a motion to approve? And any discussion? Thank you very much. 3,000 is a lot. A lot of uniforms. Snacks and equipment that can be bought with that, so thank you. Roll call? Amy? Yes. Carol?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Steph? Yes. And
Yes.
next is a recommendation to approve the donation of $500 from Sia Vizai, Ada Alpha Chapter to the BCHS Theater Department to be used to assist with the purchasing of new microphone wires. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Second.
Second.
And any discussion? Thank you. And the audio is so important. When you have bad audio, you realize how important good audio is, so. All right, roll call.
Amy,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Stephanie, yes.
Yes.
All right, next is the recommendation to approve the donation of $113.38 from Kroger to Sprunica for the use of staff supplies. Is there a motion? And any discussion? Yeah, so that's the rewards program. You can go on and just include, choose the school. And a little bit of money comes in every time you shop at Kroger, so. Roll call.
Amy,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Stephanie, yes. And Doug.
Yes.
Number 4 is recommendation to approve an out-of-state field trip request to Brown County High School Science Honor Society to the Newport Aquarium on March 3rd, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Any discussion?
It's a great aquarium.
All right, roll call.
Amy,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
and Doug.
Yes.
Number 5 is recommendation to approve the donation of $200 from Sire Desai Ada Alpha Chapter for the Brown County Middle School Choir to be used as needed. So, motion to approve.
I so do.
And second. Any discussion? I will let you know that I'm a member of Sire Desai, and I'm really glad to see them. They do budget money for certain things, and I'm glad that we're putting in the request so that they can use that money, and we want to make sure it's used for its best purposes, so I'm glad to see it. Roll call. Amy? Yes.
Carol, Vicky,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
and Doug.
Yes.
And number 6 is a recommendation to approve the donation of $600 from Sire Desai A Alpha Chapter to the Interact Club to be used as needed. Is a recommendation to approve that?
I make a recommendation to donation to the Interact Club.
Sios, it goes by Sios, yeah. Is there a second?
Oh, I'll second.
Yeah. We, just as discussion, this is gonna go for books at, the elementary schools, and they'll be picking some books out. And, years ago, we used to give out dictionaries to 3rd or 4th graders. And now nobody uses dictionaries, so, they are going to be, Pam Bond is, I think she still leads the Interact Club, and she's gonna be using that money to pick out books with the teachers that the kids will be able to take home, hopefully over spring break. Any other?
I would also say that we need to keep the sites in mind when they're doing their fundraising, that we need to patronize them. We need to-
We're selling spring flowers, and I have the form right here. I would appreciate that, so if anyone's interested in supporting the SIOs, and much of the money, as you know, does come back to our schools. Speech, hearing, art, music are their, and literacy are their goals, so we certainly benefit from the years as a school. All right, roll call.
Amy,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Stephanie, yes. And Doug.
Yes.
All right, moving on to our consent agenda. We're gonna do all of those together, starting with separation of Brown County High School varsity cheer coach Kirsten Taylor effective February 3rd, 2023, along with 4 appointments through Brown County High School ELA academic team coach Mallory Austin with a stipend as a replacement for Henry Fry. Is there a motion to approve?
I'm so moved.
I second.
Is there any discussion? want to welcome Mallory. I don't think she's here tonight, but I understand she has been subbing for Miss Fry for a while, so we're excited to welcome her as a full-time member. So thank you. Roll call.
Amy?
Yes. I'm used to being second. It is weird that I'm first. Yes.
Carol? Yes. Vicky?
Yes.
Yes.
I
And
didn't hear you, so I just said yes. I know where my place is, I said, oh, she was this one.
That's right.
oh, it's just a big old family.
Yeah, I dug her, you
And
I'm used to being last, yes.
you and I switched places and it is throwing me off. All right. Last, we have superintendent's report, and since Ms. Tracy is not here tonight, we were discussing what we might do, and Carol, do you have some notes that we can read? There's the celebrations and things going on in the corporation.
We have Jackson League that's competing at Silver State Wrestling. In Jackson. We have the Helmsburg spelling bee was a success. The students did an incredible job. Aesop, third minor won, and they will be competing at the regional competition. I don't know if it's
It's a he.
Big Woods sponsored gift cards for Abigail Wagner's convention. The fifth graders will be presenting their conventions on February 27th. The Van Buren robotics competition is Saturday. Apparently, we have Grandpa Dave volunteering in the first grade, which I just took this new pink. Adult Education Day was today at the State House. And apparently, the Brown County Health Living was going to be recognized. The comment was made that adult education money will increase from the state, which doesn't happen. The manufacturing expansion is almost ready. In my case, I've seen all the cardboard and all the packaging material in that gym over there, so I know there's a lot of stuff that's been moved over there. And with that, that's the basic.
I was gonna comment that I really love the Democrat story about the band. That was awesome, and lots of good stuff going on there, and a donation. By the way, it sounds like from the story that the donation went to the Band Booster Club rather than directly to us, because I thought, well, why haven't we seen that on our agenda? Band Booster is a separate 501c3, so I'm excited for that. Mr. Steele, do you have anything, put you on the spot, anything exciting going on we need to know?
Yeah, middle school students actually went to Purdue Polytech today. That was our first corporate problem that our kids went and presented at. So we took 6 groups over to Purdue Polytech. They all presented, over in Columbus. So they presented to some professors and some students over there, the corporate problem that they were given. And then next week is our big corporate challenge week. So we'll be sending kids out to Cummins, to Forvia, to Columbus Regional Hospital. Let's see. Nope, not Cook. CRH picked up our medical for us. And LHP.
Great.
So super excited about that. That's our 8th graders that are doing those corporate problems, and they've been doing an amazing job. So, yeah.
Great. Christine, do you have anything at the CRC that you want to highlight?
Carol mentioned that yesterday was the adult education day at the State House. This is only the 2nd year that adult education has had a State House day, and it's amazing to see our partner, Brown County Health and Living, has been our partner for well over a decade. So I was happy to see them recognized. We kicked off another CMA class this week in partnership with Brown County Health and Living, as well as another CCMA class with Ivy Tech this week. So big week for us.
And new trimester starts, right? Matt?
One more week.
In another week, okay. And I will mention, kind of along the same lines, I go to legislative day for school board members next Tuesday. And, talking to staff appointments with both of our legislators. for our regions.
No school on Monday.
No school Monday.
Snowmaker.
That's big news.
So,
And we haven't had to use it, so
Correct.
I actually get to make.
3-day week.
Don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it, we're almost there, all right.
Well, we-
Anything else, any other celebrations? All right, well, that ends our superintendent's report, I think we did pretty good. All right, claims, is there a motion to approve claims? So, need a second, any discussion? Roll call. Yes, Carol. Vicky? Yes. Stephanie? Yes. And Doug?
Yes.
And a motion to adjourn. Second. And, roll call. Amy? Yes. Carol? Yes.
Yes.
And Doug?
Yes.